Hello, sir. Welcome to the Hackers Unity podcast. Industry Insider is here. I am host Shreya Singh, and I'm excited to have you with us today. And in this episode, we will discuss the topic of agentic RAG. And in our guest is Ather Husain, sir. Please introduce yourself.
Sure. First of all, thank you very much, Shreya and Hacker Unity, to be here with me and calling me here. Second thing is, let me introduce myself. I am Athar. I have around 22 years experience as a full stack development, cloud computing, and AI. From last couple of years, I am working on agentic systems and RAG systems, and also I can say that I am currently working with insurance space.
Okay, sir. Thank
Yeah.
you so much to share your experience, career journey, and practical insight that can help the students to gain the professional growth. And today we will go with the agentic AI and RAG topic to be discussed. So, firstly, I want to ask you that what is the agentic AI and what is agentic RAG?
Yeah. So, first thing, let me start with what is RAG. Okay. So, generally, what happen if we go with normal LLM, right? Let's say if you go to Chat GPT and you ask some question. Let's say you ask the question, um, how many moons are there in the Jupiter, or you ask, is Pluto is a planet, right? So, if those LLM is trained few years back, at that time, Jupiter has the highest moons, and Pluto is a not planet, right? If you ask it's trained till that date and you ask the question, then it will answer Jupiter has these many moons and Pluto is not a planet. Pluto is a planet, right? But if you see today, it is changed, right? So things are changing, but our LLM is trained to particular day. So how we can overcome that? So that overcome is happening using RAG. Let me take one more example. So currently, I am working with insurance company, right? And we have some HR policies. Those HR policy does not be available in the Chat GPT unless it is specifically asked to train, right? But it's not because it's a company internal document. It's not available on that. So it's not trained. So if you ask the answer, so that the another this is another scenario where we require a RAG. So how RAG works? So in case of RAG, we have a document that we need to include into the LLM so that LLM can answer, right? So first we upload a document, and that document is splitting into the chunk, and that chunk convert to embedding. Embedding is nothing but a numeric representation of those words and characters. So that converted into embedding, and that embedding is stored into the vector store or vector database. Vector database is a database which is used to store embedding information. Like we have a SQL database where we store normal data, right? Vector database, we store the embeddings. So this is the first step. After that, user and ask the query, okay, how many holidays, or let me ask, if I ask the query, now the RAG is implemented, right? So now if I ask question, how many holidays is my company support? So it will give the answer because it has RAG. So how it checks? So if we go with traditional RAG or native RAG or naive RAG, how it works is it's a linear. Linear means we train the system or we import the file into the vector store, and when I ask question, how many holidays in a week, how many holidays I have in a year, then what is going to happen? Whatever query I send, it convert to chunk. It is split it in chunk. Sorry, it convert to embedding, and then it search to data vector store. Right. That's how generally traditional works. But what happens? Sometimes user has asked a question which is not very straightforward. Right. It's a tricky question, or the question which is not very straightforward. In those cases, what we have to do is, in those cases, we have to, uh, in traditional RAG, it's going to hallucinate. Okay. So because traditional RAG does not do rewriting or don't do any kind of concept, right? So those kind of things we will overcome by agentic RAG. Um, So now you ask the question, what is agentic AI and what is agentic RAG, right? So the difference between agentic AI and normal RAG is RAG generally only do the question answer. You ask question, it will give the answer. But agentic AI will perform the action. So what say I say book my ticket for this date. Okay, find the flight and book my ticket. So it will run autonomously or human in loop, and then it will book the flight. So that's what agentic AI will do. But RAG will only answer your question, or RAG will only tell the steps how to book the flight or how to do the stuff when you ask. So that's the difference between agentic AI and normal RAG. Now let's come to the question, agentic AI and agentic RAG. So agentic RAG is a combination of a RAG and agents. How it's a combination? So whatever question you ask to agentic RAG, internally there are agents who are running and doing the stuff. So when you do something with agentic RAG, it will be a combination of RAG and agentic RAG. So let's take a simple flow with agentic RAG. Okay. So let's say I have asked question. Um, since I'm insurance space, I'm just trying to cover the topic with or try to give the example of insurance. Uh, so okay, so let's say a user has asked question. My basement flooded during a storm. Okay, and my car parked in the driveway get water damage. Okay, and then am I covered with the, or how can I can ask what's my payout, how much money I will get. Okay, so now there are two things. One is home flooded. Okay, second is driveway got water, so my car got damaged. Okay, so now here is two insurance, auto insurance as well as home insurance. So how these things works in the agentic RAG? um okay, I will go into more deeper, like you have any further question? I don't want to go into, so I already answered the question agentic AI and RAG, right? If you want me to go into more deeper, I will be happy to go.
Okay, sir. That's no problem. If we, what is the RAG architect you are mentioning in your explanation? Like you are explaining the agentic AI plus RAG. What is both are things you are explained in the further, but I want to be know about that. What is the architect about the RAG?
Sure. So generally, what happened when we say architect about RAG, right? Um, so RAG has few steps. First step is in the case of RAG architect, normal RAG architecture. What is going to happen is you have a vector store that is used to store embedding. Then there are certain concepts, right, like chunking, symmetric search, semantic search, re-ranking. Um, so so what these things will do, these things will help to make RAG and or agentic RAG to be more stronger. Because if I ask simple question, I got an answer, right? But maybe that question make not much sense, or it may not very clear for embeddings or vector store, because it's do the similarity search or semantic search, right? If I ask a question in a way like where it does not matter, for example, flood and got water, right? Both have the same meaning, right? So these kind of things handled by these RAG things. And architecture wise, you can have some kind of front end where we can user input the query. Then you can have the APIs or endpoints. You can definitely create a call any LLM like OpenAI, Claude, DeepSeek, a lot of LLM, right? So prefer when you are making a production grade system, you don't need to run those things locally. That's what I prefer.
What is the embedding? And you answer it very well. You have mentioned the plugin. In what is the participant of in agentic AI and what is should be happen and how it should be work in the agentic RAG and AI?
Right. So generally, what happened when we go with agentic RAG, right? So agentic RAG is an advanced form of RAG, as I mentioned before, right? So in agentic RAG, generally we have certain things which we have to make sure. Like let's take an example, right? Um, let's take an example. So let's say if I'm trying to compare, let's say user ask a question, compare Azure and AWS, okay, and tell me how much my bill for 1 quarter for both, right? So in that case, what's going to happen is first, the query, because here we have two questions, right? Azure and AWS, and then second is what is my bill for particular quarter. Okay, so first thing is there is a routing agent. What routing agent will do is it will check what type of caution is where to redirect. That's what the job of. So routing agent will check, okay, this caution has multiple cautions, right? Multiple sub cautions, right? I'm asking about Azure, I'm asking about AWS, I'm asking about the quarter result, right? Um, so what is going to happen? It will decompose the caution. It will convert into three different cautions. Um, and then those cautions will check separately one after another. So one caution will, so then we have second agent, and that agent will go check the caution answer in the vector database. Then once it got the answer, after that answer, we also get the rankings. Okay, ranking means like which caution, which answer is more um, much suitable for this particular question. So we got like say for example 0. 0.8, 0. 0.5, 0.2, whatever the highest, that answer is matched with the question. So now we have three questions. One, we got user asked one question, it is split into three questions, and these three questions got individual answers. Then we combine all these things and all send to LLM. But before that, we also verify those questions, and that's happening in individual. So we will have one more agent who is going to verify. We can say either reflective agent or verifying agent, right? So that agent will verify if this question answer what we got is it expected or is it something different, right? If not, then it will go into loop. But if it is correct, then it goes and it will say, okay, all it will send to the manager agent or main agent and say, okay, all these three questions get answered. So now there's questions and answers sent to um, send to LLM, and LLM combine and it will make answer user friendly and send it back to them.
Okay, so what are the RAG pipeline and what are the components about in it and how it should be work and how it should be implemented? Can you explain it and how it should be like you are mentioned about in the last time? Ki, what is the component? So, shall we proceed to be what are the components? Firstly, you explain it, and then what is the RAG pipeline? Then it should be explained here.
Sure, got it. So rack pipeline is nothing but we can say like whatever rack system we are making. Sometimes it also refers as rack pipeline. And in rack pipelines, we have all these components, right? So if you think about agentic agentic RAG, right? It has few system. It has architecture. So okay, so we can say like inside agentic RAG, we have different uh, different agents inside that, and those. Okay, sorry, can you repeat your question one more time? I'm sorry, I think I'm going different direction.
Likewise, I want to ask you that what are the RAG pipeline and what are the main components about it that
Okay. Yeah. So the main components I can say we have definitely we require some frameworks like we have Microsoft Agentic Framework, we have LangChain, we have Llama Index, and all those frameworks are there. Definitely we require those, and in those will help us to uh, work on those components. So what are those components? We will have a chunking agent, or I can say the chunking. That's the first component we have. That component is responsible for um, splitting the words and convert splitting a word so that it can be stored into vector database. So chunking will be splitting, and then we will have embedding model. Embedding model is responsible to convert those chunks to the embeddings, and then we have vector database or vector store that will be responsible to store data to vector. This is the first step when we go with in the rack pipeline. Second is um, second, while we are searching, we will have a different types of search, right? We have semantic search, we have similarity search. So how what it will do is semantic search. Generally, we do search like you can say the keyword matching is happening. Definitely, we can say some terminology, but in short, it is doing the keyword matching. While sorry, similarity search is doing the keyword matching. While in semantic search, it will try to match the meaning also. That's why semantic search is more stronger than similarity search. For example, in semantic search, when I say cancel my coverage, right? So it will not only search cancel my coverage, it will also try to search policy termination, right? So because it's a it's a both are same, right? Meaning is same. So that's what it's happening. But when you go with similarity search, it will only check the cancel my coverage or cancel more specifically. Then we have then I said like routing agents, right? Routing agents has multiple components. We can have query rewriting, we have query decomposition. Query rewriting, what it will do is it will write the query, let's say, because user when user enters, right? Even when we do try to chat, we chat sometimes shorthand, sometimes we just don't give much context, right? Let's say we are already talking on something, we are talking about cancellation policy, or we are talking about some something related to something, right? And then we suddenly ask a single line question which does not have a context something. So then those contexts we need, those queries need to rewrite to make it proper context, right? So that is the query writing. Then we have a query decomposition. Query decomposition, when we have in one question, when we have multiple questions, then those questions got split using the query decomposition. Then we have outer then we have a re-ranking thing, right? Re-ranking thing is nothing but when we whenever we got a result, those results, let's say for example, if I'm trying to search about flood insurance, right? And if we do semantic search, so it will search for water, we search for flood, and it will also search, since we have documented all the information, it will try to search all the word with water and flood, right? But we need to see what is matching, right? So those things happens using the re-rank. Those are Rank is nothing but how much confidence the model has, how much it is answer. Because if you don't go by confidence or re-ranking thing, then your rank system will hallucinate.
Yeah, that should be very understandable. Which framework and tool do you recommend it for the beginners? Like as an example of LangChain, LangGraph, and Crew AI are the mostly famous example in the agentic AI and RAG systems.
Yeah, there are many systems and tools are available. Definitely, you're right. We have Crew AI, we have LangChain, LangGraph, we have Llama Index, we have some Microsoft products as well, Microsoft Agentic Framework, we have Semantic Kernel, AutoGen. We have a lot of tools and framework. But to start with, I will suggest you need to see like where you have to go. You have to write a code or you have to go with no code. Um, but if you are developer, definitely you should have some capability or you should definitely learn something which you can write a code. So first thing what you can do is you can start with LangChain. That is the easiest one, which is simple, straightforward. Then you can move to LangGraph, because LangGraph is when you are trying to make more complex. And start with traditional RAG. Don't directly jump to agentic RAG when you are trying to do. Go with traditional RAG, see how it works, what are challenges, and then go with these things. And definitely you require a lot of, if you're going with Python, right? Definitely people are writing the code the Python, because that has lot of libraries and frameworks available out of the box, so it will be easier and faster to write. So you can definitely go with Python.
Yeah, it should be where we need to be go with the Python, right? So,
Yeah, definitely Python you can go, and definitely Llama and LangChain and LangGraph is good to start with, and then based on your expertise you can go with. But definitely, if you compare with CreoEye and LangChain and LangGraph, right, those are definitely a similar weightage, I can say.
what are some real-world use cases of agentic AI and RAG across different industry and different materials should be used here?
Yeah, definitely. There are many use cases. Like the majority of companies who are adopting the agent AI or agentic AI or RAG, they are doing they are trying to make a chatbot using the customer, like what you see Chat GPT, right? So that is the easiest. I don't want to say easiest, but that is the very common scenario people are using. We can definitely adopt in the different industry like healthcare, financial, education, and other places. In healthcare, definitely when we want to do any clinical assistant, right? In that case, we can definitely go with RAG easily to do more deep research. In that case, then we can have if we go with laws, right? The uh, court and all those things, legal thing, right? So legal research, for legal research also it is helpful. It also helpful with financial services to in finance, if you want to have a compliance bot retrieve um, regulatory filling, right? Those things definitely it help. In education, we can have intelligent tutorial, right? Tutoring system that help us help students or teachers to. So what is going to happen is teacher is going to create an intelligent tutoring system, and they don't need to hire the teachers, right? They don't need multiple teachers, or that intelligent tutor is available 24/7, right? I want to if I'm a student and I want to study at night, that tutor is available, right? Then we can have enterprise knowledge management, right? So as I mentioned, right, when we have HR policies, uh, we have the income and those revenues and all those things, right? So those we can easily create a RAG and we can have those queries. Especially HR policies are really good example where all the employees, they need to search something about their policy quick, right? Instead of calling the HR or sending the email, they can easily do it. Um, we can also help It is also helpful for research, like some scientific research. You can collect all the documents, all the research document, and create a rag, and you can do the research based on those documents. So instead of reading each and every page of those documents, we can just simply ask question, and rag will give the answer. uh, we can also go with multimedia, multi model application. So what it will do is it will create a real time um, media. Like for example, I want to see what happened in 2022 or what or 24. I can easily get those answer, right, if we go with rag. So those basically rag will helpful. Any type of rag is helpful to search something which is latest, search something which is new, or search something. It is really help to search and do stuff, right? What I mentioned customer, healthcare, legal, finance, education, all the industries. It will definitely help one another.
Yeah. So, what are the common some mistakes a beginner do in learning phase? And when we learn some agentic AI and RAG system, what we after that they mistakes and what in the starting they will be mistakes.
Yeah. So what I feel is like if we think about RAG, it says okay, upload document, search it. Right? It's not that simple. There are many types of RAG. We just talk about the traditional RAG and we talk about agentic RAG, but there are n number of RAG like self correction RAG, React RAG. There are a lot of types of RAG, right? So you need to understand what when you are trying to develop, right? Always start with traditional RAG and try to see what challenges you are getting, right, and then you can improve your system accordingly. In most of scenario, traditional rags are not useful. You have to go with your scenario because traditional rag is always not always, most of the time it hallucinate because user is not your control, questions are not in your control, right? So you have to always do that. Then the only problem if you don't go with traditional RAG and other RAGs. Um, it required more. It's slow because traditional RAG is simple pipeline. You ask question, it will answer. But if you go with agentic RAG or different RAGs, it required more time because it's doing the more research and all those things. So, right? So, um, so whenever any developer newly when they start, right, they always start with traditional RAG and they said they are good, but that's not the case. You need to learn the advanced RAG and you need to go with what RAGs are suitable for your scenario. Second thing is in the RAG, people generally think, okay, even though even I see some experienced people, what they do is they do just chunking and they just create a vector database and that's done. That's not the case. You have to think about it, what kind of users you have, right? Let's say, for example, there's an application which is used throughout a world, right, with everyone, like every age and all, right, then they every age, because if you see the older people, they may ask caution differently. If you ask Gen Z's, they ask differently, right? Everyone has different way of asking. So you should make sure like you go with query writing, query decomposition, all those things. Definitely you need to learn. You need to learn all these concepts before you start things, right? The basic concept. Otherwise, it's very challenging. You need to know when to use semantic search. You need to know when to use similarity search, right? So all those things we need to know. And other thing, what I can feel is like when you are implementing RAG system, right? That is not only for RAG or agentic AI. That is for any application you are making, right? You should definitely have some kind of mechanism where you can debug it easily or you can identify what is the problem. So you have to implement some kind of tools, like some all kind of observer tools, I can say, which will debug things or which will help us to know how user is using system. So that will help um, to learn how your system is used and you can improve your system accordingly. And there is no, I mean, as I mentioned, there are a lot of types of racks, so you have to choose which one suits best for you. You need to do some research before taking accepting any kind of rack.
Okay, so you are explaining how different type of tags are will be built and how it's to be worked. That's a very grateful to know to everybody to how to be get a very clearly use of agentic AI and RAG system. And thank you very much, sir, to be here. And we hope this conversation is very informative to and inspiring to all of the members. And if you are joined the Hackers Unity this podcast, we are very thankful to you and from the our unity also.
Yep. Thank you very much for having me here. Thank you very much.